The GSA scandal is continuing to bubble over. To recap, these are the guys who supposedly monitor government waste, and they clearly decide to monitor waste from the inside by holding a boozy $800,000 conference in Vegas.
Scot Faulkner is a pretty handy person to talk about both of those issues as it happens. He was involved in the effort to try and clean up corruption in the 1980s when the last scandal hit the GSA, and he worked very closely with Newt Gingrich in the 1990s when Newt was Speaker of the House. Scot Faulkner spoke to us this week from West Virginia.
GSA scandal. You've had a few run-ins with the GSA yourself in the past. Yes. What's the GSA actually supposed to do apart from partying in Las Vegas?
It is really the central landlord and dispersing agent for the whole federal government. I mean, except for parts of the Defense Department, every car, computer, pencil, Post-it note, office furniture, everything is purchased through the GSA. So in one sense, it's like the ultimate candy store in terms of how many billions of dollars flow through that place every year.
So you'd expect them to perhaps get a good deal on their partying in Vegas?
Yeah, frequent flyer miles or something, I don't know. But
some Scott are saying that this is not just about the bean counters being caught raiding the bean jar, but that it's also about a systemic culture of waste and mismanagement that goes all the way to the top of the Obama administration. How indicative should this be taken as being? Is there something culturally wrong with not just the GSA but the entire administration?
Well, I think that people are trying to make this thing a partisan battle. The issue is the federal government is too big and it's poorly run. I mean, there are parts of it, maybe 5–10%, that are run to what I would consider cutting-edge business principles, and the rest of it falls off the cliff. And therein lies the problem, and that problem has been there long before Obama got into office. But he is the chief executive of the executive branch, and it's happened on his watch, and so therein lies the issue.
So would you say that it's less about cleaning up the GSA than cleaning up the entire government?
It's absolutely about cleaning up the entire government. The Congress is looking at legislation to put full disclosure on meetings and even restricting government meetings across all agencies. But this, again, is a piecemeal approach. All federal spending should be completely transparent and be on the internet. I mean, just people should be able to see how their dollars are spent real time, and that we are far from that. And therein lies where the problem is really getting to, is that you have people who are unaccountable, and even when inspector generals look at it, it's very haphazard, and it's after the fact. And those are the problems that we're dealing with. Okay,
so let's say Ronald Reagan, he's exhumed from the dead, he becomes president. I'm sure he'd win the primary if he was exhumed from the dead. And he turns to you. The first thing you've done is the transparency that you've just described. What other things would you do to try and ameliorate the situation?
What any president should do, including the current one, is you should take the deputy head of every cabinet department and agency and make them, in essence, the chief operating officer, and put around them anywhere from a dozen to 2 dozen private sector management experts, and give them 4 to 6 months to come up with a plan to completely change their agencies from top to bottom and make them into a business-oriented operation. And then from there, basically, they have to report back every week to every month from then on. But it can be done. It was done at GSA in the 80s. It was done in the House of Representatives in the 90s. It can be done, and nobody seems to want to do it.
Scot Faulkner, good to talk to you again. Thanks very much for joining us this week.
Right. As always, it's wonderful. Thank you.